Hey everybody, it's Lee Foster here from Revitalise, connecting people, and welcome to this week's episode of Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet business owners and key influencers from across the UK business community. And today I've got the great pleasure to be with a gentleman who is the author of Gregor the Golf Ball. He's also part of the supporter development team of Crossreach. He's been part of Crossreach now for 2 years. His previous experience and roles was worked in the golf industry with Edinburgh Leisure for 25 years as a greenkeeper and also golf duty manager and corporate partnership officer. Can you please welcome with me today for Revitalise Meets the one and only Mr. Euan McIntyre. Euan, how are you today?
Good, thank you, Lee. I really appreciate being here, so thank you.
You're more than welcome. Euan, I've got a bone to pick with you to start with, because we talk about being the author, and I noticed the author of Gregor the Golf Ball is actually James Cobbin.
Yes.
Could you shed a bit of light on the difference with the names, if you don't mind?
Certainly no problem at all. James Cobbin is in fact me. James is my middle name and my mum's maiden name. It also happens to be my granddad's name, who I never met. So it's a little bit of a tribute to him and to my mum as well. So,
oh, that's lovely.
Hopefully that clarifies it.
It certainly does. Thank you very much, Euan. Really appreciate it. Oh, James, Euan. Anyway, we'll call you Euan. Euan, you've been doing some great things with Gregor the Golf Ball, and I really want to find out today, would you mind telling everybody the inspiration behind Gregor the Golf Ball? What made you develop and write this book?
Sure. I mean, the original concept was a few years ago now when I was working in golf, and part of my role was looking at junior development. So I noticed that there was a lot of great initiatives happening at schools and primary schools, with foundations maybe going down, teaching kids how to play golf, etc. But to me, there was nothing to inspire children before that to make them want to play golf, to warm them up, so to speak. And I lived in Port Seton at the time, and was fast asleep, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, a picture of a golf ball with a smiley face popped into my head, and straight away I got up and started writing a story. Decided to call it the golf ball Gregor, and that was it. It's moved on from there. So that's the original inspiration. It was a book to inspire children that maybe haven't really thought about playing golf before, or their parents aren't interested in golf, so they've not had that lead in.
I think it's really big about what we're talking about. It's the inspiring generations, really. And I think that's what you have been doing, the generations that you've been inspiring across the board. What we spoke about briefly before today's interview was chatting about the did you know part of it all. And I would like you to shed a light on the inspiring, who you have inspired with Gregor the Golf Ball for children to start playing golf. Is that across?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I've been lucky enough now to be in contact with quite a few foundations and parents, etc. So I'm getting a lot of feedback from parents. I think the best bit of feedback that I've had so far, and I take this on a great level, is a parent that I'd asked for feedback on the book when it was still in the early stages, shall we say. So it was just recording the story and putting it out. So I asked a couple of people on LinkedIn if they could help out. People that I don't know, so they've no loyalties or allegiances to say, oh, this is great, love this idea. So I put it out on Facebook, LinkedIn. Does anybody want to give me some feedback on a children's book idea that I have? A guy got back to me who had 2 kids that were 2 girls. I think they were about 7 years old and 9 years old, and they played golf. So they had a wee bit of an interest in golf in the first place. Sent the recording to them. They loved the story. They were really engaged with it. They actually worked, because it was during lockdown, they did some homework around the book. So it expanded it a little more. It was more of a learning point, an engagement moving forward. But the dad got back to me and he said, I'm going to also trial it with like a girl that comes to our house that doesn't play golf and doesn't have any interest in golf at all. She thinks golf's for boys, that's it. So, because he was interested to see what it would be like coming from a non-golfer point of view. A couple of days later, he got back to me and he said, "Euan, this is unbelievable." The girl came to the house because I think her mum's a key worker, so she was coming during the day. She listened to the story. She had a wee chat with the other two girls, and before we knew it, she was in the back garden, designed her own Gregor the Golf Ball, and was chipping golf balls backwards and forwards. So it was completely turning a non-golfer, non-interested person into believing in the power of Gregor, shall we say, and giving golf a try, which is great. And some of the other feedback I've had, been in touch with the Euro PGA Pro Tour, who again loved the book and put it on social media that it was a must-have for every junior golfer, which is great to think that an idea that popped into your head at 3 o'clock in the morning one day is now being recommended by the PGA Euro Pro Tour. The other really interesting side of things is I've been in touch with the Els for Autism Foundation in America, who again read the book, but was ideal for the children that they work with, and they've actually recommended it as a resource for parents to buy to use for their kids. So yeah, the feedback that's coming in has been great.
Absolutely superb, and it's a great testament to yourself and how that's working and how that comes across as well. But one of the biggest ones you talked about, it was overcoming obstacles, was just one of the areas that you've been supporting many with on that one. Can you expand a bit further how you've been in this book? I mean, you mentioned it before, just in that little bit about, from the PGA, etc. But obstacles and discussion points, especially with mental health.
Yeah, sure. What you'll see in the book is that this is a young golf ball. It's never played golf before, so every single shot that is taken is a new adventure. He doesn't know what's around the corner. He doesn't know if he's going to stay in the fairway, whether he's going to land in the rough, and the experiences that he has when he's there invoke a lot of different emotions. One of the things at the start of the book is Gregor's been sitting in a basket full of his brothers and sisters for months, waiting to be picked out by a golfer. He's heard so many exciting stories about life on the golf course, but as yet has never experienced any of them. So they're just sitting there bored, not knowing what's going to happen next. A mum and a son come into the golf course. This is a junior golfer that's never played golf before either, so they're actually learning together. And Gregor gets picked out of the basket. Now, this should be a really exciting time for him, but at the same point, he gets really worried all of a sudden, and he starts having doubts. Will I even enjoy golf? Will I be a good golf ball, sort of thing? Eventually, in the book, he gets lost in the rough, and he's starting to feel anxious. And it's a great way to discuss with children. Have you ever felt like that? Or if you do, who do you talk to? So there's lots of areas in the book that can be reflected into like a child's journey in life as well. And I suppose a lot of things is turning what can be seen as negative situations into positive ones. So for example, Gregor lands in the bunker and he loves it. It's really comfy, it feels great. Now, landing in the bunker can seem like a negative experience because that's not great, but Gregor turns it into, he tries to get out, Peter takes his first shot, he thinks it's great, but he lands at the top of the bunker and rolls back down. So the emotions are like, whee, magic. I ended up exactly where I started, but it was really fun getting out. Now, again, just going back to that initial feedback that I was saying from the parent, to expand on that, he told me that he took his daughter out as a caddy for the first time on the golf course, because they usually go to the driving range. So I don't know if it was his youngest daughter or his oldest, but they were 7 and 9. And when he landed in the bunker, straight away she ran up to him and she said, "Dad, don't worry. Gregor says these are really hard to get out of, but it's fun trying." And that to me is gold. It's brilliant. It's reflecting back to situations that Gregor's been in, using it in real life, and telling other people about it as well. So trying to keep them sort of calm. So,
I think when you're talking about that as well, it's you're looking at, you're engaging the children in the conversation, but you're also encouraging, massively encouraging, especially with the sense of mental well-being as well. You're encouraging learning at the same time there, Euan, and I think that's really, really important. But you've also been inspiring creativity with the children out there. They're being creative by not looking at it as a negative proposition that they're in or position that they're in. It's looking at the positive side of it, which is a real good area to be into. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Now, you mentioned a few achievements, and I would like you to share what's been your biggest achievements to date over the last 2 and a bit years, from development stage right way through to delivery stage where you're at right now. What's been your biggest achievements so far?
I think the biggest things I've had with the book, I mean, this version of the book has only been probably on the go since the idea popped in my head in around about May. I did have an original book which I brought together for free, so I hadn't spent any money on it. I put it together through publisher. Again, I'd had really good feedback on it, but I'd never gone any further. And probably during lockdown, I asked myself, why? What can I do to improve this? So again, I totally rewrote the story. I changed the storyline, introduced a few more characters to the book as well. So as well as the son, the mum, which used to be a dad, so I changed that to a mum. The golf starter, Gregor, and there's a big scary crow in the book as well. So I looked at different ways of doing it. I changed the way it was written as well, because beforehand it was all written in third party. So Gregor was placed on a tee, Gregor heard this. Now it's not, now it's written as Gregor. And that really opened up how the illustrations could be done in the book as well. So because originally it was just Gregor the Golf Ball and how he saw things or heard things. Now Gregor's telling the story of his first ever game of golf, so his imagination can run wild. So for example, when he goes flying off a tee for the first time, flying through the air like a superhero, you can have a cape on him, sort of thing, because it's his imagination. Nobody else is seeing this. It's him. It's how he's telling the story in his head. So I think the biggest things have been getting an illustrator on board. Kaylee McCallum from Glasgow commissioned her to do the illustrations. Really working on the book for the last few months of really concentrating on how's this wording sound? Is this inspiring enough? What activities will I put at the back of the book? Working with Kaylee to find out what pictures or illustrations work and what don't, and what tweaks you need. And yeah, really bringing it together to come to a finished product that really looks professional and inspiring has been inspiring, not expiring. Sorry, has been a massive achievement. So to come from an idea that's been in your head for years, to come to now to what I would call a finished product, and what will hopefully be the first in a series of books, which all have different messages behind them. The other thing that's a great achievement is just the feedback that you have. Like we've touched on, that it actually does what it's meant to do. It inspires children, and there's nothing like this out there at the moment. I think the other thing that makes this a unique book is there's also an engagement plan. I mean, it's all about keeping kids inspired. So they want to play golf. We want to build confidence as well. So all the way through the book, there's little things of rules. Like Gregor lands in the sand, and he hears Peter's mum says that he can't touch the sand with his club before taking a shot, which makes it even harder. So then he's sitting with an air of suspense to see what would happen next. When he lands in the rough, he hears Peter's mum saying, "You've only got 3 minutes to find your ball, or you'll have to use another one." So of course he starts counting down the time, 20, 19, 18, and it's just making everything fun. So it's learning little things in ways. So I would call that a really big achievement as well, that changed the way that the book's written altogether. So it's all about learning, but it's a two-pronged sort of attack. That you have you can inspire kids to play golf, but you can also no matter what, not every child is going to want to play golf after it, but it's fully inclusive, because if you use this book in schools, you can still do other projects on it. So, as I said, like discussing mental health or anything else to keep kids engaged. There's an engagement plan that runs beside the book. So if, for example, the book was going out to schools or golf clubs, and you were going to start lessons in 2 weeks' time, so the kids would all be given the book. They'd be asked to go away and read it. There's discussion points at the end of the book, which is Gregor's questions, and the last one is, what would you name your golf ball and why? And you turn over the page, and there's a golf ball that you design and you name. Now, when it comes to signing up for a lesson or going to the golf club for the first time, or the golf club coming into the school, quite simply, you'd have a basket full of golf balls in the middle of the room. You'd have some Sharpie pens next to it, and you say to the kids, did you do your homework? And they'd be like, yeah. Great, what do you name your golf ball? Go and draw it. So they'll go up, and that gets them that wee bit of ownership on the ball as well, and starts to bring the game to life properly. Now, when I'm talking about building confidence, it's not confidence necessarily just in golf, it's about life skills. So you would then, before every lesson, ask one or two kids to stand up in front of the class, if they felt comfortable, to say what they named their golf ball and why. So this is a great opportunity for kids to get creative, tell a really, really funny story, build their own confidence, but at the same time, you can check on learning, because more than likely they'll talk about, but it's what the golf ball likes to do the most and why. They'll talk about something they learned at the previous lesson, so you can check if that's been instilled to them or not. So, for example, this is Emma, the golf ball. I named her Emma because that's my little cousin's name, and I really like my little cousin. And she likes, she loves it when she lands in the bunker, because it's really fun to try and get out of. But we know how to do it, and that's it, sort of thing. So it's keeping children engaged, and the biggest achievement's definitely been the feedback that I've had, knowing that even if the book's inspired one person, either to talk about mental health, relate to Gregor on that journey, or play golf, then that's me. I'm happy.
Well, it's a great achievement, a celebration to yourself, and especially when you look at not just the interaction you got with it, the confidence, the life skills, but also the mindset. And we spoke about that before. It's having the right mindset when they're going into a game of golf, but also having the right mindset when they're going into life at the same time. So it is giving them that confidence, that building. So really well done, Euan. You've done a grand job, and many people need to start to read this book, and especially with their kids, to actually understand how it works and how it can get them involved into this. But could you share with everybody, because you went through the development process from start to middle to finish to delivery, what would be your top 3 tips of somebody out there who's watching us and listening us today, who would want to think, do you know what, I want to write a book right now, I've got a great idea. What would be your top 3 tips to them?
Okay. Nothing like put me on the spot. Well, first of all, I would say it's really important that you believe in what you're writing about. So it's really easy to have an idea pop in your head and go, oh yeah, that sounds, I could write a book about that. But it's a lot of work. There can be a lot of knockbacks. And I think you've really got to be passionate about what you're writing about, because it's not just like Gregor's game of golf. It's not an easy journey, and there's going to be lots of obstacles in the way if you're wanting to do it and you want to get a great product, or the best product that you can at the end of it. I suppose number 2 would be, don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Feedback's a massive gift You can't ask for anything more. But what you need is for people to be honest with their feedback. And I think that's where a lot of people aren't. They'll say the book's, it's absolutely brilliant, it's great, love it, right? So, and nothing else happens. It's really important to get honest feedback. And this time round, I was really, really lucky to get some really, really honest feedback from guys like Gordon and Forbes at Newmac or Greg Friel as well, which was great because it changed my mindset and it made me think differently. I think I was asked why don't you bring Gregor to life and give him arms and legs? I'm like, those golf balls don't have arms and legs. For a start, they wouldn't fly through the air as easily for a start, but it was great because I then adapted that feedback to go, no, but it makes sense that I could do it from his perspective and his imagination, so it means that I can bring the ball to life in different ways and add a superhero cape or him talking about his emotions and stuff. So don't be afraid to ask for feedback, but don't feel you have to take everything on board, interpret it whichever way you want because it's your goal, which is my last sort of point, is it's your goal and it's your vision. So have an end goal of who your target audience is, what you want to achieve, but don't be afraid to detour slightly on the way as long as you're making it to the end, because you never have it right first time. I thought I had it right the first time years ago, but it was blatantly obvious that I had made mistakes or I could be more creative with what I was doing. So yeah, that's if anyone can give you feedback and you can get honest feedback, yeah, that's my biggest thing. And don't be afraid, because you don't want all the feedback to be positive. You need some negatives in there because you're not going to have the finished product straight away.
I think it's right what you say as well, though, Euan. It's like set your goal that you want to achieve, the objective that you want to aspire to. You can always deviate from the route, but your route to destination, it'll change and adapt as you go along, but the goal will always be there. The goal is there to achieve. But you have to be adaptable to move with feedback.
Exactly, and it's exactly the same as a game of golf. You know where you want to go, that's your end goal, but there's going to be lots of deviation on the way. You could be in the rough, you could be in the fairway, you could even be in the water. You just don't know. It's how you adapt to the changing environment around you, and try and keep positive all the way, because if it's meant to happen, it will.
That's true. And it's all about this course management we talk about as well, and make sure you're planning and preparation before doing anything to set that up the right way of what you want to aspire to do is extremely important. They are great 3 points there, Euan. Thank you so much for sharing those. Everybody's watching and listening to us today. So what's next, Euan? So we've talked a lot about the Gregor the Golf Ball, where it came from, the inspiration, that wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Great. Everybody's been there. We've all been there. Woke up with a great idea, write it down in a notebook. Some great achievements. You've done a grand job so far right now, but what's next? What's the next chapter? Mind me saying that. The next chapter to Mr. Euan McIntyre.
The next chapter is more books. I've got hopefully a series of at least 4 planned, which are all different life stories as such, to keep children engaged and maybe change the mindset when they're younger. Obviously, when I worked in golf, and we had a wee chat about this, we noticed a lot of things where golfers wouldn't play because it's wet or it's too windy, and you looked out in the car park and there's 1 or 2 cars there. So the next book is planned is Gregor Plays in the Wind and the Rain, and that's to show that golf's a game for any weather. It just presents a different challenge, and again, you can relate that to life. There's going to be lots of little learning points in that, again, where learning rules is fun. So, for example, Gregor will be dropped off near the hole by what feels like a magic carpet, which is a divot, and he'll hear Peter's mum or dad in the background saying that if you don't put it back, it loses its magic. And that's just ways of children going, right, I have to put that divot back to where it came from, or it won't work anymore. So there's that'll be the next one. After that, there's Gregor joins a golf club, which is where he'll bump into all his friends and family that he leaves behind in the basket in the golf shop. And again, golf's a great game on your own, but it's even better to meet friends and socialise. And Gregor joins a golf club is the last one that I have planned at the moment, and that's it. It's not all about winning; it's fun to take part. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. I would love, ultimate goal, I would love to have Gregor as a recognised junior brand. I think there's definitely a massive gap in the market for that. But yeah, it's just getting that wee break. So we shall see.
Superb. And I wish you all the very best for the future, Gregor, because I think what you've done there is you've planned your route to success. But most importantly, we spoke about prior to today, and also today's real theme all the way through, is how you've inspired generations. And I think that's exactly what the book series are going to do. You're inspiring generations to move forward. And it's great to talk about mindset, great to talk about the focus, and also what you spoke about there with the clubhouse, the team, where together everybody achieves more. And I think that's so important. So I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Everything that's coming up soon, and it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you, and I'm looking forward to supporting you further as we move forward into the world of golf, because I'm going through my mindset at the minute, trying to get my game a bit better at the minute as well, which we spoke about. But absolutely superb. Thank you so much, Euan, for spending your time with me today. Really appreciate it.
It's okay. Thank you very much for having me. Much appreciated.
You're more than welcome, and thanks for being part of the Revitalise Meets series. Thank you to everybody who's watched and listened to us today, and we really look forward to welcoming you back to the next Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet a business owner and key influencer from across the UK business community. We wish you all the very best. Keep healthy, stay safe, and myself and Euan, we'll see you very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.